And a process, I think, in education, just like in our own lives, is highly important. One of the things that I find out about young people that come, that they don't have a process or a method or a plan about how they want to achieve what they desire to achieve. We bring a lot of young guys in at the beginning of each year, and it's interesting to me, what levels they are at in regards to knowing what they want to achieve, and equally as significant is how to achieve it. I remember when I first came here, and I remember the very first team meeting that we had. I was interested in, just what their thoughts were, and I asked them a variety of different things, but one of the things that I was always interested in was, what were their priorities in life? What was important to them? So they began to think about it and began to provide some answers. And they would talk about a variety of different things that they had a genuine interest, that were priorities in their lives. I encourage you, what's really important in your lives. Now, what's your plan to achieve successes in those priorities in your life? And the one thing that was very consistent throughout is that everybody I would go to and I'd say, okay, what's your plan to achieve this goal, that goal, etc.? And the answer was always the same. You know what it is? Hard work, right? Isn't that what you say? Everybody says it. Okay, work hard at what? The NEA, National Education Association, did a study. What was interesting was that they indicated that 100% of our society establishes goals for themselves. That's everybody. And then they indicated that only 50% of the people who establish goals, which is everybody, so it's 50% of everybody, actually have a plan about how they want to achieve that goal. And then they indicated, and this was of interest to me, that only 5% of people that establish goals for themselves actually achieve those goals. That's a pretty small number. But what I found to be true, and I'm saying this because I think it applies to everybody, and it applies to teaching, applies to all aspects of our lives. And more often than not, it's just verbiage. And it's verbiage because we don't do anything about it. We don't have a plan in place in order to achieve those things that we talk about. Like I said, talk about hard work. What's a plan to work hard? How do you go about doing it? What is hard work, etc.? The concept that we tried to come across with was, first and foremost, was to be able to define what those priorities were. And I always promoted the priorities for a young person here in our program to be his faith and his family, being the best person, the best student, and the best football athlete that he could be. But, to be able to put together a set of priorities that are really significant in your life, and then be able to extract from those priorities what you want to achieve in each one, which become your goals. And I say this because I think it's important for anyone to have a process about how they achieve goals. Your generation. You're defined by many as a generation of instant self-gratification. And young people that you're going to be teaching, that's going to be ever present. And so, not all, but in so many of them. You have a young person today that sets a goal, and if he can't get there tomorrow, that's no longer a goal. He races that one and another one goes on, and that's an ongoing failing process. If you have, a process in place to achieve a goal that requires, what would we say, baby steps. We always talk to our players about finding a way every single day of our lives to become better or improving in those areas of our life that are priorities in our life. I would go through and I'd ask those same players all the time, okay, that's your priority. You're going to establish a goal based on it. Tell me what you could do today, just today, not tomorrow, not the next day, just today, to become a little bit better at that particular priority. And you think about it, how could you become a little bit better family person? Maybe it's simply, call your brother. Give them a telephone call your mom, call your dad, whatever the case may be. I think one of the key elements that we mentioned a moment ago, or I mentioned, is about making daily improvement. And I think, sometimes that's hard to get young people to adhere to or buy into. You know, they become a little impatient sometimes. But by the same token, it's defining what we can do to become, you know, a little bit better, whether it's as a student in your classroom or any other facet of their life.